A hotel room, a secret, and my stepson's shocking intentions. The rain was falling in thin silver lines when I stepped out of the taxi in front of the Grand Sapphire Hotel. The glowing sign flickered against the dark sky, and for a moment, I felt as if I were standing at the edge of something far bigger than I could understand. I wasn't supposed to be here. At least, that's what I kept telling myself as I pulled my shawl tighter and walked into the lobby. Everything had started 3 days earlier. My name is Meera. I married Rajiv 8 years ago, a widower with a 10-year-old son named Arav. Back then, Arav had been quiet and watchful, like a child who had learned too early that life could change without warning. His mother had died in a car accident. And though Rajiv tried to be strong, I could see grief sitting heavy on both of them. When I entered their lives, I promised myself one thing: I would never try to replace his mother. I would simply be someone he could trust. And for years, things were good. Arav grew into a tall, intelligent young man, polite, ambitious, and distant in that natural way teenagers often are. He went to a university in another city last year, and the house became quieter than I had imagined. Then, 3 days ago, I received a message from an unknown number. Please don't tell Dad. I need you to come to Grand Sapphire Hotel, room 407. It's about something important. Arav. My heart had skipped a beat. Why would he be in a hotel in our own city? And why the secrecy? I tried calling him immediately, but his phone was switched off. When Rajiv came home that evening, exhausted from work, I wanted to tell him. The words hovered on my lips. But something held me back. The message had said, "Please don't tell Dad." And against my better judgment, I decided to go alone. Now, standing in the hotel lobby, I felt foolish. What if it was a prank? What if someone had stolen his phone? What if this was something far worse? I took the elevator to the 4th floor. Each second felt louder than the last. Room 407. I stood there for a full minute before knocking. The door opened almost instantly. Arav stood there. He looked different, thinner, paler, and his eyes, they carried a weight I had never seen before. "Thank you for coming," he said softly. I stepped inside. The room was neat, almost too neat, as if he had cleaned it in nervous preparation. "What is going on, Arav?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "Why are you here? Why didn't you come home?" He ran a hand through his hair. I couldn't, or wouldn't. He looked away. That silence told me everything was not simple. "I found something," he finally said. My stomach tightened. "What?" "About Mom." The air in the room changed instantly. His mother's accident had always been treated as a tragic but straightforward event. A drunk driver. A rainy highway. A life ended too soon. "What about her?" I whispered. Arav walked to the small table near the window and picked up a file. "These are copies of old police reports and insurance documents. I requested them for a research project. I wasn't looking for anything, but I found inconsistencies." "Inconsistencies?" He nodded. "The driver who supposedly hit her, his blood alcohol report was never properly recorded. The case was closed in less than a week. And the insurance payout to Dad, it was processed unusually fast." I felt my heart pounding. "What are you suggesting?" He looked at me, and for the first time since I'd known him, I saw fear. "I think Mom's accident wasn't just an accident." The words echoed in my mind. "No," I said immediately. That's impossible, is it? He asked quietly. Dad was struggling financially back then. He had huge debts from his business. After Mom died, the insurance money cleared everything. I took a step back. You think your father? I don't want to think that, Arav snapped. But the numbers don't lie. The room felt smaller. I came here because I needed space to look into this without Dad knowing, he continued. And because I don't know who else I can trust. The last sentence hurt the most. You can trust your father, I said, though my voice lacked conviction. Can I? He whispered. I sat down slowly. 8 years of marriage. 8 years of believing I knew the man I shared my life with. Rajiv was kind, gentle, responsible. But I also remembered how deeply desperate he had once been when business was failing. I remembered overhearing arguments about money between him and his late wife, though I had never known the details. Arav, I said, carefully, suspicions aren't proof. I know. That's why I'm digging deeper. And why involve me? He hesitated. Because if this is true, if Dad had something to do with it, then I can't face him alone. His voice cracked. In that moment, he wasn't a university student investigating a conspiracy. He was a son terrified of losing his father a second time. This time to truth. What exactly are you planning? I asked. That's when his expression changed. There was determination in his eyes now. I contacted the driver. My breath caught. What? He's alive. He served only 6 months for negligent driving. I found him in a small town outside the city. You met him? Not yet. But I'm going to. When? Tomorrow morning. I stood up abruptly. This is dangerous. You don't know what kind of person he is. I have to know what happened that night. And if he says, your father paid him. Arav's jaw tightened. Then I go to the police. The words hit like thunder. You would destroy your father's life. If he destroyed my mother's, Arav replied coldly, then he already destroyed it himself. Silence filled the room. I realized then what his shocking intention truly was. He wasn't just investigating. He was ready to expose Rajiv, his own father, if he found proof. That kind of determination could tear our family apart. I walked to the window, staring at the city lights below. What if Arav was wrong? What if this was just grief resurfacing in a new form? And what if he was right? I thought about Rajiv's smile, his quiet routines, the way he still kept his late wife's photograph in the study. Could a man live with such a secret for years? Or was this all a misunderstanding waiting to explode? You can't do this alone, I finally said. Arav looked surprised. I'm not saying you're wrong, I continued. But confronting that driver by yourself is reckless. So what do you suggest? We do it properly. We consult a lawyer first. Quietly. If there's something real here, we approach it legally, not emotionally. He considered this. And Dad? We say nothing until we know the truth. For the first time since I entered the room, I saw relief flicker across his face. Will you stand by me? He asked. The question felt heavier than anything else that night. If I stood by him, I might be standing against my husband. If I refused, I might lose the trust of the boy I had raised. I walked toward him and placed a hand on his shoulder. I will stand by the truth, I said, whatever it turns out to be. The next morning, instead of meeting the driver alone, we met a lawyer recommended by an old friend of mine. We showed him the documents. After carefully reviewing everything, he leaned back in his chair. There are irregularities, he admitted. But nothing here proves foul play. However, I can legally request a reopening of the investigation if new testimony emerges. Arav looked at me. This means we need to speak to the driver, I said quietly. But this time, not recklessly, not secretly. That evening, I returned home. Rajiv was in the living room, reading as usual. He looked up and smiled. You seem tired, he said gently. I studied his face. Was there guilt hidden behind those familiar eyes? Or was I imagining shadows where none existed? There's something we need to talk about, I said. And in that moment, I realized the real secret wasn't hidden in a hotel room. It was hidden in the space between trust and doubt. A space where families either break or become stronger. The truth was coming. And whatever it was, none of us would leave unchanged.